We got people will be coming in as we are waiting. "23 participants, people are coming in, all right. So my name is Dennis Mejias. I am your representative, the facilitator for this session. And I am here to talk, to let you know that there are opportunities to sign up for more sessions down the road. So you go to pacac.org/virtual, and there will be plenty of opportunities to see different colleges, but also different kinds of presentations. The recording will be available for this presentation in about a week. Your cameras and microphones are off, so you are muted, so the presenters will not be able to see or hear you. But there is a Q&A button where you can type your questions and they will respond. At this point, I will turn it over to the presenters and enjoy your session.
Great, thanks Dennis, and thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Jerica Shuck. I am here obviously to talk about Penn State, so if you are here to learn about Penn State, you're certainly in the right place. I'm going to give you a pretty high-level overview of all things Penn State today. I have a crew of other Penn State aficionados who are here and joining us today, and we will have plenty of time to answer your questions live after I'm done giving you this presentation today. I myself am from our University Park campus, but since we do have other representatives here from across the Commonwealth campuses, we'll be able to give you a pretty comprehensive view of all things Penn State today. So I have a pretty short presentation. I should be talking to you all for about 15 minutes, and then the rest of the time today will be spent taking your questions live on camera. We will have people who are taking your questions in the chat as well. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A, and you can find that button at the bottom of your screen, and we will be able to address your questions there. Of course, if we don't get to all of your questions today, you're more than welcome to reach out to us via email too. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I mentioned that I am an admissions counselor from our Penn State University Park campus, which as you're looking at this map of Pennsylvania that I hope you all are familiar with, you'll see that University Park here is in the very center of the state of Pennsylvania. Although, with that being said, all of these other names and little dots or monopoly houses that you're seeing are representative of all 20 of our Penn State campuses. You heard that right, we have 20 campuses spread out across the entire state of Pennsylvania. University Park is our largest, and I would say our most well-known campus. We do have about 46,000 undergraduate students at Penn State University Park, but spread out across all of our other campuses, which we call Commonwealth campuses. That is a campus that's not University Park. We have between 500 undergraduate students and 5,000 undergraduate students at each of those campuses. So the real difference between the campuses are going to be the size and location. As you're looking at this map, I do want to point out a few of the icons that you're seeing here just to make this make a little bit more sense for you. First of all, I'll start with this little red Monopoly house that you'll see at our University Park campus and at our Barrand campus right on Lake Erie. Those represent that these are campuses that have on-campus housing that's both guaranteed and required for your first year. If you see these little orange or yellowish colored Monopoly houses, those are campuses that have on-campus housing. That is first come, first serve. And if you see a campus that just has a blue dot, that means that there's off-campus housing available for students there. If there's some combination of the two of them, it means that both of those options are available for students. Penn State is truly unlike any other campus system in the entire world, regardless of where you are going to physically attend classes. So whether you're at our University Park campus, our Brandywine campus, or our Altoona campus, you're going to graduate with the exact same Penn State degree. Our professors and faculty are held to the exact same standards, regardless of campus where you're attending. Your degree is going to just say Penn State University. So even if you decide to go through something called our 2+2 plan, where you can start your first 2 years at one of our smaller Commonwealth campuses and eventually move to either University Park or another campus to finish, you're still graduating with that exact same Penn State degree. In fact, almost every single one of our 275 academic programs, you can take advantage of our 2+2 plan. There are some academic majors where you'll need to start and finish that major at a certain campus, but again, for the vast majority of these majors, you will be able to take advantage of the 2+2 plan or graduate from one of our smaller campuses even. Some of our more popular academic degree programs include majors that are in the College of Business, the College of Engineering, our College of Science, College of Liberal Arts, and of course our undecided program. So if you're sitting here and you're like, how am I supposed to pick between 275 of these majors? You don't have to worry. You will have plenty of help along the way with the help of an academic advisor to really get you along the right career path. You'll be able to really set yourself up for success. A lot of students wonder if they can double major or even have double minors, and the short answer is yes. Again, for the vast majority of students, you'll be able to have that kind of double major, though at the time of application, you will need to just select one major to keep on your application as the primary major. Not only do we have a lot of different academic programs for you to take advantage of, we also do have a ton of different clubs and activities for you to be involved in as well. We do have over 1,200 of them. That number is no joke. And you'll see that just about 95% of our students are choosing to get involved in at least one of them. We find that that's a really important way for students to really take the big campus feel, especially at our University Park campus, but definitely at some of our larger Commonwealth campuses, and make it feel a lot smaller. You can really help find your fit by finding other students who are super interested in the same kinds of things that you are. So whether you're interested in a certain type of food, dance, art, music, theater, or if you really like sports, maybe you want to join sororities or fraternities or other kinds of academically related clubs, we're going to have something for you. You can find an entire list of clubs and activities online. I'm not going to sit here and list every single club and organization here for you, but if you just Google Penn State clubs and activities list, then you should be able to find the information that you're looking for. Next, I'm going to spend some time talking about our online application process. This is going to be most relevant for the seniors who are joining us today because we have made some changes as a result of COVID-19 and the ongoing pandemic. So we do want to be cognizant that you all are going through something really, really difficult and that you're really trying to make the best of this situation. And we're here to tell you that we are being as flexible as we possibly can be with all of you as students. We want to make this process as easy as it can be. So we are continually evaluating the situation and trying to determine what we can do in order to make this a little bit easy for you as you're going through this college application process. So you will need to submit an actual application to us. We're on 3 application platforms: the Common Application, the Coalition Application, and our own internal application called My Penn State. We don't have a preference for which way you apply to Penn State. So it's a really common misconception that we have preference over one application over the other. That is the farthest thing from the truth. We really do not care which way that you apply to us. As long as you apply, that's all that we really care about here. This self-reported academic record is going to be the next part of your application review. So your self-reported record is essentially an online transcript that you're going to fill out when you're applying to Penn State. This is going to be separate from the self-reported grade section on the Common App or on the Coalition application. I like to point that out because sometimes students think that we'll receive what's on the Common App or the Coalition, and we don't. I do like to make that important note that the self-reported academic record is filled out on your My Penn State profile. So those 2 items kind of go together. Your self-reported academic record is going to take a look at your 9th through 11th grade grades. You'll be able to put in your like the names of the courses that you took, as well as the level of course that it is. So if it's an AP, IB, accelerated honors, or other kind of distinguishing class, you'll be able to report that on there. And then we will take a look at your 12th grade in progress courses. So with that being said, we will not be using your 12th grade grades at all during the admissions review process. We will just be looking at what grades you got from 9th through 11th grade. Like I mentioned, you will need to complete one of those My Penn State profiles in order to submit that self-reported academic record to us. And your My Penn State profile also serves as a kind of admissions portal. So it's a really good way for us in admissions to keep in touch with you on the outside world. Your My Penn State profile will also be the place where you can view your checklist, your admissions checklist. So if we're requesting specific transcripts from you, if you're bringing college credit from other places, or if we still haven't received your self-reported academic record, you're going to be able to view that information there. And it's also going to be the place where you can view your admissions decision first. So you'll definitely want to create one of those profiles, as well as keep in touch with that profile too. You're definitely going to want to visit it frequently and make sure that we've received all of the documents that we need. Finally, I do have SAT and ACT scores listed here with a little asterisk on it. That's just indicating that this year we are going to be test optional. So test optional for our students means that you are able to apply with test scores if you want us to consider them, or if you'd rather not have us consider them during your review, you can certainly choose to have us review your application without them. Again, this is one of the things that we've introduced as a result of COVID-19, that we just want to be as flexible with you as we can be. We know how difficult it has been to try to get different test dates, and we know that even if you were able to sit for certain exams, you might not feel confident in the scores that you're getting. So this, and being test optional, gives you the flexibility to present yourself to the university in whatever way you feel is best. On your application, you will need to report whether or not you want to be considered with test scores or not. And that answer will be able to be changed up until the time when you receive a decision from the university. So if you're signed up for some late October test dates, or maybe you're not sure if they're going to get canceled or not, and you want to submit your application early to us, you can certainly do that, and then later change your answer once on your My Penn State profile. If you do find that you want to change your test optional answer, that's certainly something that we want to help you with. If you do have any other questions about that, I just invite that you email us directly at admission.psu.edu, and then we will be able to help you work through that kind of test optional situation individually, just based on your own circumstances. We do publish these middle 50% ranges just to give you a realistic expectation of the kind of answer that you might receive from the university. So like I said, these are middle 50% ranges. These are not cutoffs, they're not averages. You're not guaranteed admission if you're falling within these ranges or falling above them, and you're certainly not going to be automatically denied admission if you're falling below these ranges. These are just the real statistics from our current first year class. So again, we publish these to give you a realistic idea of what kind of student we've accepted in the past and where you might stack up against that. On this, you will see that there's a delineation between our University Park campus and our other Commonwealth campuses. And the reason why we have that distinction is, even though we have all one application and we're all university, there are still more students who are applying with University Park as their first choice campus. We're a supply and demand university at our core. So whenever it comes to more students applying with University Park as their first choice campus, that means that demand is up, even though our supply stays relatively the same every year. So it just becomes a little bit more competitive to receive admission to University Park in that sense. So again, these are just middle 50% ranges, giving you an idea of what you can expect from the university. A really popular question I get from students is if I can help you make this test optional decision. Maybe you're asking me if I can help decide if you should apply with test scores or not. And the short answer to that is no. Unfortunately, we cannot help you with that, but I can point you towards these middle 50% ranges again, specifically for our SAT and ACT ranges, just to tell you again that if you would fall within these ranges or above them, you would be considered a competitive applicant to the university. You can kind of use that to inform your decision as best as you can. As far as our admissions timeline goes, it's important for us to say that our application is currently open and we are accepting applications to all of our campuses. The first deadline that you're going to want to keep in mind is our early action deadline. So in a traditional year, our early action deadline would be November 1st, but this year we are proud to say that we are extending our early action deadline by about 2 weeks, just to give you some more time to submit your applications to us, maybe get that last October test exam back in and submit those scores to us. So our early action deadline this year will be November 15th. Again, our early action deadline is November 15th. We anticipate that our early action deadline will likely change back to November 1st in the coming years. So that's certainly something to keep in mind. But if you are younger than a senior, if you are not yet applying to college, you're more than welcome to just get in touch with us in admissions whenever it is that time, and we can kind of address that with you as well. If you do submit your application, your self-reported academic record, and your test scores to us, if you are choosing to apply with test scores, by our November 15th early action deadline this year, you will receive a decision from us by December 24th. So we're going to guarantee that decision for you. After our early action deadline passes, we do move to rolling decision, in which case it will be between about 6 and 8 weeks before you receive a decision from the university. So after the that early action deadline, it does become increasingly more difficult to receive admission to our most competitive campuses and our most competitive majors. So I certainly recommend that all students meet our early action deadline if that's going to be feasible for you. But we know that different things come up, and we are happy to work with you as they do and as you're submitting your application to us. Along the same timeline as our actual application for admission, our FAFSA will open, or I guess it is open now. It opened on October 1st, and our FAFSA is our free application for federal student aid. That is our application for aid from the university. So if you're interested in receiving any type of need or merit-based aid, that includes scholarships and work study, you will need to submit that FAFSA and have it on file for us in order for us to award that to you. We recommend that students submit that to us by December 1st, which is our priority filing deadline. Again, just to give you maximum consideration for all of that need and merit-based aid that we can award you. And then after you have received your offer of admission from Penn State, you will receive an aid award several weeks later. For our early action students in our earliest pool, those will start coming out around mid-February. Although it will kind of be staggered a little bit after our early action deadline. If you do choose to apply rolling, again, they will be coming out a few weeks after your decision. And then you will have a few more months to go back and forth with our office, maybe attend an accepted student program, just be in touch with us and talk about your options before you officially accept your offer of admission on May 1st. And then you are able to officially join the Penn State family. To talk briefly here about costs for our 2020 to 2021 year, we do have these numbers here for you just to be as transparent and upfront with you as we can be. These numbers are for estimation purposes only, so they are subject to change a little bit from year to year. You'll see that we do have Pennsylvania resident tuition and fees listed on the screen here because we are a federally affiliated university. We do have in-state tuition as well as out-of-state tuition, so I just like to make that clear for you all here. We do have another delineation here between Penn State University Park and our Commonwealth campuses. And the reason behind that is simply because Penn State University Park is a larger place than many of our Commonwealth campuses. With about 46,000 undergraduate students at University Park, as well as more buildings, staff and faculty, our tuition and fees are just going to be more than some of our Commonwealth campuses, which are only accommodating about 500 students. So again, that's why you see that difference in price there. I will say that the most cost-effective way for you to pursue a Penn State education is going to be through pursuing the Commonwealth campuses. You can save a pretty significant amount of money every year, so that's definitely something to consider in receiving the exact same Penn State degree, maybe being a little bit closer to home as well. If you do have other questions about aid, I do recommend that you reach out to the Office of Student Aid directly. The Office of Undergraduate Admissions and our Office of Student Aid are separate. So if you do have questions, I recommend that you reach out to the experts. I can only really speak to my personal experience and some other personal experiences from family members. So I know that cannot relate to all of you directly. So again, I recommend reaching out to all of the experts on student aid if you do have more questions about this. Finally here, I have to tell you about our Alumni Network, which is one of the most fantastic things I would say about Penn State. This number, again, is no joke. You've seen a lot of big numbers tonight, but this is by far one of the largest. With over 700,000 active living alumni, we have one of the largest active living alumni networks in the entire world. One in every 106 Americans with a college degree is a Penn State graduate, and that means a lot of things for us and for you. First and foremost, it means that whenever you're in an airport, chances are if you're wearing Penn State memorabilia, you're going to run into someone else who is also wearing Penn State memorabilia, and you'll be able to have some kind of a conversation with the two of them, talking about all kinds of Penn State memories that you might have or all kinds of different Penn State connections. Of course, that goes beyond airports as well. It's also helpful when you're trying to get out into the career field. Maybe if you're moving on to graduate school even, there's certainly all kinds of ways that you can make connections with other Penn Staters. All 700,000 of us are going to be part of Penn State, and truly all of these people together are what makes Penn State Penn State. With that being said, that's the end of my formal presentation here. I do think that we have been getting some questions throughout our Q&A today, and I do want to be able to point your attention here to some other important resources for all of you. First of all, we do have all of our social medias, which you're more than welcome to reach out to us on social media and interact with us there. We have all kinds of fun posts on social media, so I definitely recommend you see us there. We also have our general admissions email address on the screen for you here. So if we don't get to your question today, we do recommend that you reach out to us there, and we can kind of disperse your email as it is appropriate to our different staff members. Finally, we do have this experience webpage on the screen here for you. And if you're interested in visiting us further, so if you're intrigued with Penn State, if you want to learn more from us, we definitely recommend you check out all of our virtual visit experiences. That will be the best place for you to learn a little bit more about Penn State, whether you want to attend a prospective student presentation that's a little bit longer than this, or if you want to schedule a one-on-one appointment with any one of our admissions counselors, you are able to do that online. So I definitely hope that you check both of those resources out. I have spoken long enough to all of you now, but I do want to give my panelists, my on-camera panelists, the opportunity to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about the campus that they're coming from as well. I think that would be great if you want to give a little campus spiel, and I can go ahead and put the map of Pennsylvania back up on the screen here for you. As always, our Q&A is still open, so if you do have any questions after our panelists are done introducing themselves, we will be addressing some questions live, and then we'll be able to wrap up our presentation. But Melissa, would you like to start first?
Sure, I'd be happy to, Jerica. Hi, my name is Melissa Grimm. I am an admissions counselor representing Penn State in Northwestern Pennsylvania. My office is at Penn State Behrend, and if you were to visit Penn State Behrend, which is in Erie, you would likely meet with me there. Penn State Behrend is a suburban campus of about 4,700 students. Currently, we offer 38 baccalaureate degrees and 4 associate degrees. So some really nice opportunities for our students. In addition, we do have graduate programs at Penn State Behrend, although we don't see too many of those graduate students on campus during the week. So our undergraduate students have some really unique opportunities to work on undergraduate research. With our faculty, our student to faculty ratio is about 16:1. And as you talk with our students, what you hear them say is they really feel as though they have a wonderful opportunity in a small university setting to get to know their faculty, to pursue undergraduate research, to work in co-ops and internships. So we like to talk a lot about the learning environment at Penn State Behrend, and we know that's what makes us special to many of the students who are with us. So I'm happy to be with you tonight and to answer some of your questions.
Thanks, Melissa. How about you next, Claire?
Hi, yes, thanks. My name is Claire Nolan, also an admissions counselor for Penn State, and as of this past summer, officially a 2-time Penn State graduate. So I got my undergraduate degree from Penn State as well as recently my graduate degree. I had some really great experiences. I'm currently located at the Brandywine campus. It's a beautiful campus located in the suburbs of Philadelphia, about 1,300 students at the Brandywine campus. The students at Brandywine really appreciate the campus for a few reasons. For one, they really like that kind of small community. So knowing that they are a part of Penn State, so this really kind of large thing, but in a kind of a smaller scale, so a smaller community there. They also really like our proximity to Philadelphia. There's a lot that goes on in Philadelphia, so they really like being able to, be in our suburb campus, but have access to all the many happenings in Philadelphia area. So yeah, also happy to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you both. So I'm going to go ahead and put out our first question to Melissa. Since you are both from the Commonwealth campuses, of course, I want to ask this question. What are some reasons why a student might choose to go through the 2+2 plan?
Great question, Jerica. So I think there are several reasons that students consider 2+2 options. For some students, it's the convenience of having a Penn State campus close to home. Nice opportunities if you're able to live at home and commute to perhaps save some money in those first 2 years. living a little closer to home, commuting, experiencing that local campus environment, and then moving to the campus of your choice for your junior and senior year to pursue your major. For some students, it's the opportunity to be in a smaller classroom setting, to work with faculty more one-on-one, to have those opportunities to really pursue those foundational courses in a smaller setting, in a smaller classroom environment. And sometimes it's a matter of you're starting at the campus where you actually think you're going to finish up your program, but perhaps along the way, while you're studying your general education courses in the first 2 years, you suddenly realize that there is something that you didn't even realize was out there in terms of a major, and find that it's offered at one of our other Penn State campuses. I think one of the beautiful things about Penn State, and one of those things that's so important for our students to understand, is you have so much flexibility. You can start at one campus, move to another campus for your junior year, and we fully anticipate that you're going to need some time in those first 2 years to really explore what Penn State has to offer. I often say in high school presentations, it's almost impossible, I think, to leave high school and know exactly what it is you want to do. We have so many diverse offerings at Penn State. It gives you a little bit of time to explore that. And if you decide that your program of study is at another location, you have the flexibility to do that. Penn State credit is Penn State credit. It's not a transfer process. We refer to it as a change of assignment process. So just moving from one place to another, as long as you've met what we call entrance to major requirements, is a pretty seamless process. And you'll have an academic advisor to work with along the way as you do start to explore perhaps explore different programs of study. And I think the other thing to talk about in terms of 2+2 is sometimes students assume that it's going from one of the campuses to University Park or another campus. We actually see students sometimes start at University Park and say, oh my goodness, there's this wonderful program at one of the campuses. So we sometimes see students doing a 2+2, starting at University Park and moving to one of the Commonwealth campuses to complete a degree as well.
Great, thank you so much. Claire, I'm going to come to you next to talk a little bit more about housing. I know that this map can be a little bit confusing in seeing all of these monopoly houses and everything, and whether or not housing is required or whether it's not, or what it's like at the different campuses. So I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit more about housing and whether specifically housing is required for our students.
Yeah, that's a great question. So whether or not you're looking for that residential experience, that does tend to vary by student. So for example, if you were living nearby to a campus, to a Commonwealth campus or to University Park, you may consider, the cost savings of commuting. However, there are some differences based on the campuses. So you can see on that map there are those monopoly houses. If they have a monopoly house, then that means that campus does have on-campus Penn State housing there. The red houses you can see at Barrington University Park, and Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong here, that means that first year students are required to live on campus, and you are also guaranteed to have a space to live on campus for your freshman year. The other campuses that are yellow there, it means that you can live on campus if you choose, but you do not have to. And so again, kind of thinking about what's going to work for you best, sometimes students start living on campus, and then maybe in their sophomore or junior and senior year, they're living off campus at off-campus apartments. But really, it's going to be whatever's going to work for the individual student, with that exception of University Park and Barron, you'll be living on campus. The really nice thing about living on campus at Penn State is that you've got a lot of different supports that are available to you. Sometimes it can be a little bit, it feels very different when you go from being a high school student and very likely living under your parents' roof to now you're an independent person living at college. And so it's really nice because Penn State has a lot of great supports, like I said. So resident assistants, if you have any issues, right in your hallway, you can knock on your resident assistant's door and say, hey, listen, I need help finding this office, or can you point me in the direction of this? And so it's really nice kind of gradual release, if you will, to being a very independent person.
Great,
Claire,
thanks, Claire.
Claire, I'm going to jump in on that for just a moment. In terms of University Park and Barron in particular, if you are a resident who lives very, very close to those campuses, and it is what Penn State determines to be a commutable distance, you'll want to talk with the individual campus to see what your options may be. So for students who are in the immediate area, there may be some options to be a commuter student. That's something you'd want to pursue with either the undergraduate admissions office at University Park if you were from the Center County area, or from with the Penn State Barron admissions staff if you live in Erie County.
Great, thanks. I'm going to take a brief moment to go ahead and show our students the necessary or the middle 50% ranges that we covered a little bit earlier. I did see a question in the chat asking about what our middle 50% ranges would be. So I did just want to put these up on the screen for all of you again here. Since these are middle 50% ranges, these are not cutoffs in any ways. They're not averages. Again, you're not guaranteed admission. If you're falling within these ranges or above them, just as the same as you're not going to be automatically denied admission if you are below them. So I do, again, just like to make that clarification. You will see that delineation between University Park and our Commonwealth campuses again, and that is because we are a supply and demand university. So because we have more students who are applying with University Park as their first choice campus, that just makes it more competitive to receive admission to University Park directly than to some of our Commonwealth campuses. These numbers do change a little bit from year to year, so that's important to keep in mind as well, that these are just kind of guiding numbers for you to keep in mind, but you can see these on our website as well. I do see that we just got a Q&A question that was, do you have to take the ACT and the SAT? And the short answer is no. We are test optional this year as well, so you don't need to take any exam in order to be considered for admission unless you are interested in our accelerated pre-medical medical program, in which case they are still requiring your scores, your SAT or ACT scores, to be considered for admission. But you don't need to take both of the exams. If you wanted to apply with just one, your SAT or your ACT, you're more than welcome to, but you don't need to take either in order to be considered for admission this year. Great questions, everyone. Next, I think I'm going to come to you, Melissa, to talk a little bit more about the learning support services or other kinds of services that students might be looking for, whether that would be like questions about dietary restrictions or other kinds of accommodations.
Great. So with regard to learning support services, when I'm talking with students, I think really your first point of contact, if you have a question about something academic, is to start with your faculty. All of our faculty at Penn State are incredibly accessible. Each semester at the beginning of the course, you'll receive a syllabus for the course outlining the faculty members' office hours, and I always encourage students, start there and contact your faculty member, ask any questions. If you decide you need assistance beyond that, all of our campuses have some sort of a learning support office, and many of those offices will do a lot of proactive programming, things like study skills, test taking skills, test anxiety, perhaps some additional work in mathematics, peer tutoring. So there are all kinds of services available to you at each of Penn State's campuses. Jerica, I think you had asked me an additional question there related to that, and I've lost my, should have made a note.
That's okay. I was wondering if you could talk about like dietary restrictions and
Absolutely.
food on campus.
For students with dietary restrictions, we certainly encourage you to work with our Office of Housing and Food Service. We do have dietitians on staff at Penn State, and we are certainly accommodating students with all sorts of individual needs, whether you need a gluten-free diet or a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet, or you have specific food allergies. We do a great job in our dining halls of labeling food, but if you have very specific needs, certainly you can work with that office, work with a dietitian to make sure that your specific needs are being met.
Great, thanks, Melissa.
Sure.
Next, Claire, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about our study abroad options. I didn't mention the number, but we have over 300 of them, and I know that some of our students can be a little bit confused about which kind of direction to take. So could you just speak a little bit more about studying abroad at Penn State?
Yes, absolutely. So I have to tell you, probably my only regret as a Penn State student was that I did not study abroad. So my understanding of study abroad was that it was kind of like this set, you were studying abroad somewhere for an entire semester. And for some reason, that just felt daunting to me. I didn't feel like I was quite ready for that. I was loving my Penn State experience and I didn't want to leave it. I wish that I had done some digging, because now on the other side of things, I see how many options there are to study abroad through Penn State. Penn State is so connected and they have so many different programs for students to be able to study abroad in ways that will work for them. Kind of like everything else that happens at the university, a lot of different options for students that you can kind of tailor your experience to fit what you want. So for example, there are study abroad experiences that you can do for an entire semester, like I said, or, and I wish I had known about this, there are study abroad experiences that you could do for a week or for 2 weeks. So maybe for spring break or winter break. So a lot of really great options for students to see multiple places in that way. So again, I wish I had done some digging. There are folks at every campus that can help you to see what the study abroad options are for you. And I know students who, approaching their senior year have gone to several different places through Penn State Study Abroad, again, because there are so many different options. So if you want to get excited about the many options, if you go to the Global Programs website, so if you just search for Penn State Global Programs, you will see a lot of different avenues that might make you excited about the different things that you can do when you are a college student at Penn State.
Yeah, they're super cool. There's so many of them. Melissa, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, Jerica, I'm going to jump in on that. I am also a Penn State graduate. My undergraduate degree is in education, and I had an opportunity to actually do my student teaching as part of a study abroad experience at Penn State. So I spent the spring semester of my senior year in Chichester, England, teaching in a British primary school. And I often tell students when I'm working with them, hands down, in terms of my Penn State experience, it was undoubtedly the most important thing I did in the 4 years I was at Penn State. So I am a huge proponent of study abroad. I learned more in that 3.5 month period about myself and the world than I have in many years since then, I have to say. It was a wonderful experience, and it is one I always encourage students, even if it's for a week. Please think about taking advantage of that, because it is a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, and it, like what Claire said, it's really important to remember that all of these options and different kinds of programs are available to you regardless of the campus where you're going. So regardless of where you're enrolled, you can be a student who studies abroad, or a great transition into our next question about internships. Melissa, I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what it's like to get internships at Penn State, and maybe more about our career services as well.
Absolutely. So this is one that hits kind of close to home today. My daughter is actually a senior at our University Park campus, and shared with me that at 6 o'clock tonight, she was actually participating in a workshop on developing resumes. And I said to her, didn't you actually take a course in career development, which is an option for our students? And she said, yes, but it's always good to go. Maybe I'll pick up something new in this workshop that I didn't learn in that course. So many different ways that you can explore career development. I like to think of that as Penn State taking more of a holistic approach to career development. That process can start as early as your freshman year in terms of participating in workshops, learning how to develop a resume, how to dress for success, how to conduct an interview, all kinds of opportunities across the Penn State campuses in terms of working with students and helping you to learn more about career service opportunities. In terms of internships, we work very closely with our outside partners. That may involve our Alumni Network. It may involve companies that we have developed relationships with over the years. So career fairs are available to students, again, at all of our Penn State campuses. Many recruiters coming to the Career Services building at our University Park campus. Our students at our Commonwealth campuses also have the opportunity to interview with employers who are seeking students at their individual campuses, but also at our University Park campus. So again, it's the the breadth of Penn State available to all Penn State students. And we encourage you to really explore that. And I think this goes beyond just going out and finding a job or perhaps finding an internship or a co-op experience during your time at Penn State. And I think those are very, very important to our students, but also looking at where your career opportunities are. Where will jobs be in your field? What are the projections nationally for someone going into petroleum and natural gas engineering, or whatever the major may be. So again, we encourage our students, be proactive about that, talk to your advisor, talk with our career services staff, and learn more starting very early on about career opportunities, internships, co-ops, and your job search.
Great, thanks. Yeah, there are tons and tons of resources. I think that that's just a common theme with all things Penn State, that there are just a lot of options for students to take advantage of. Next, Claire, I've seen a few students asking about how that they can find different information about different majors that they're interested in. I was wondering if you could just talk about where they can find that information.
Absolutely. So as Jerica mentioned, we have a lot of major options at Penn State. And that is a great opportunity for students, but it can potentially be a little daunting. So we recommend, if students are not sure when they're applying to Penn State, we definitely encourage you to put its Division of Undergraduate Studies or undecided. It's really our exploratory major for students to kind of see what is going to align best with their interests. And when you come to Penn State as an exploratory student and undecided, DUS, Division of Undergraduate Studies, they're all synonymous to us. But when you come as an undecided student, you have an advisor who is trained to work specifically with students who maybe they're between a couple different options, or they really are not a clue what they want to do, right? So they have a lot of expertise in helping students to kind of narrow down and pair them with some majors that make the most sense to them. That being said, if you want to do some exploring now, we recommend that. It's really good to do some digging on your own time. So one of the places that I like to see some more details about the Penn State majors is our bulletins page. So if you go to bulletins.psu.edu, so again, it's bulletins.psu.edu, you can type in different majors there and really see a lot of great information about each of those majors. So for example, something that I think is interesting is you can see the suggested academic plan, which actually outlines the courses that you'll be taking in those majors. It also tells you some of the career options that students take when they are in specific majors. So that's a good way to kind of do some of your research on your own. But again, you don't have to feel like you have to know. It's a daunting task to figure out when you're leaving high school what you want to do. I know that when I came into Penn State, I did not know what my major should be. And actually the major that I ended up with, I had not even heard of prior to coming to Penn State. So it's human development and family studies. And then I was able to add a psychology minor. And that was all because I worked very closely with my advisor and with career services. So those supports are there for you. But if you want to do some digging, again, that bulletins page is a really great option.
Great, thanks, Claire. So I think we have about 2 minutes left here. So Melissa, if you want to talk about our honors programs, maybe a little bit briefly, and then we can pass it along to Dennis to wrap things up, that would be great.
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Jerica. So with regard to university-wide programs, the Schreier Honors College is Penn State's honors, as you would think, are Penn State's honors college. It's the only means of earning an honors degree at Penn State. It requires a separate application from the regular Penn State application, and you will see more information about that on our website and also on the Penn State application. Students in that program have the opportunity to take honors level coursework. You will work with a faculty member on a senior honors thesis. And so details, I would direct students specifically to the Schreier Honors College website. They do some special programming of their own as well. So there are some special sessions that we'll be doing online about the Schreier Honors College. In addition, the campuses of Penn State often have their own honors program. Those are enrichment programs. And I would direct you to any of the Commonwealth campuses that you may be interested in to specifically discuss the honors programs that are available at individual campuses and what that really entails. as well. But I think the long and short of it is there are enrichment opportunities, the opportunity to expand your knowledge in particular areas, to maybe stretch a little bit further if you're interested in honors level coursework. Jerica, I'm going to hand it back to you and Dennis. I think we're getting pretty close to time here.
Yeah, perfect. I just want to say briefly, thank you again, everyone, for taking the time and learning a little bit more about Penn State today. If you do have any other questions, please reach out to us at this admissions email address, and we can help you a little bit more there.
A round of applause for our presenters. I want to thank you very much for presenting tonight. Thank you for joining us, for you participants. Thank you for joining us in this virtual college exploration program. This was brought to you jointly by StriveScan and PACAC. And I know I learned a lot about Penn State, didn't know much, but I hope you guys enjoyed it also. But before I let you go, I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to share a screen. Hopefully you can all see it so that you know that there's a couple of things going on. After you close out of this window, you will have a quick survey that you can fill out. Please fill that out. It's very, very quick. You also have the opportunity to sign up for more sessions, other colleges, and presentations having to do with other things other than just the colleges themselves, but topics related to college exploration. And number 3, a recording will be placed on the PACAC website at pacac.org, at the website, pacac.org/virtual, and that'll be in about a week. And again, thank you very much for attending this session, and we wish you luck.